In this video, I'm going to share with you the most common questions that Nando's like to ask in their interviews and help you plan great answers to these. Now, the first question you really have to be well prepared for is, what do you know about Nando's? And the good news for you is I've done lots of research for you, and I'm going to share with you the key facts that you can take to your interview. So the first thing you do is describe them this way. Say they are a multinational, fast casual, peri-peri style chicken restaurant. And if you use that phrase, you're going to cover the majority of the business very simply and very quickly and immediately impress them with good knowledge. The next thing you're going to do is refer to their key ingredient in the Nando's sauce, which is the African bird's eye chili. The next thing you can say is that they offer a delivery, eat-in, or collection service. You're covering the main things that Nando's offers. They are Portuguese themed, and if you look at their logo, it comes from the rooster of Barcelos, which is a famous story that is told in Portugal. The company was founded in 1987 and was founded by Ferdinando Durante and Robert Bronson, who were the original founders. They went to a restaurant that was offering a very similar product and they liked it so much they actually bought the restaurant, and that over time developed into Nando's. Nando's was actually the name of Ferdinando's firstborn son. That's where they get the name Nando's from. His son was called Nando. The company is now owned by Richard Entovan, so that's also a good name to remember because it's now a family-controlled company owned by his family. They offer custom decor, so each of their restaurants is different to every other one. They're customized to give a unique experience. They have expanded internationally, so if you think about the country that you're applying for the job in, mention all the other countries that they've expanded into. They have a grocery range, so if you go to certain grocery stores, you can actually get the Nando's sauce. You can get some products that are branded with Nando's. They were listed on various lists of the best employers to work for, and you can mention any recent listings. They are known for their support of charity, particularly in the past, they've supported a lot of malaria charities. It's a good idea before your interview to make sure you know the menu, so look at an online menu and be familiar with exactly what they're selling. And they also currently have Nando's Rewards, so they've got a rewards program. And I would recommend you know what the current rewards program is, or you could talk about their famous black card and things that they offer their customers in terms of rewards is a good thing to be confident on. So feel free to screenshot this and take to your interview all of these facts and show that you're super well prepared. The next question that they're going to take very seriously is, what shifts could you do at Nando's? And you need to have an answer ready for this. I'm going to show you what they want to hear and some phrases that you could use in your interview. So the first thing really is that yes is the best answer. The more you can say yes, the better. They want people that are available and flexible. The next thing is, be ready for sort of follow-up questions saying, can you work on a Thursday evening? Can you work on a Saturday? And just remember that if they're asking about specific times, they're interested in those times. So if they're asking about a time, they're really looking for someone to work those times. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked about that specific time. If you can't work that time, you may have to say no, but remember that will hurt your chance of getting the job. So you want to say yes as much as possible. The next thing is you want to be flexible. So think about how you can answer this to show the maximum amount of flexibility and also try and be as flexible as you can. You ought to be open-minded. The more you can be open-minded, the better. If you're very closed and you're saying, no, I can never, ever work those times ever, that's a very negative thing, and that could harm your chance of getting the job. They want people that are flexible and open-minded. And then you have to consider what actually Nando's needs. Imagine if you owned a restaurant, what would your ideal answer to this question be? And of course, you'd want people that are flexible and are going to ensure that you have the staff that you need to run your restaurant. Let's look at some good phrases that you could use at a Nando's interview, and you can look through these and pick which ones best suit your personal circumstances. So really the best answer would be to say, I have very good availability and would be able to work shifts across the full range of Nando's opening hours. That really basically says I'm freely available to work really any time that potentially you could need someone. I'm super flexible, and that's really a great answer. You could say I'm highly flexible and would be open to working a variety of daytime, evening, and weekend shifts depending on business needs. That's also quite a nice answer. If they have put on their job advertisement specific times, you could say I'm happy to commit to working all of the hours you put on the job ad, because they've literally told you, we want people to work these times, and you're saying, I can do exactly what you need. So that's also a nice way to answer this. So make sure you show off as much flexibility as you can, be really positive, focus on what you can do, and you're going to be making this question the best shot at being successful. The next one we want to look at is what does good customer service look like? So they can ask, what is good service? And let's look at some key aspects of a good answer that goes beyond some of the answers that others might give. So the first thing you can say is you have to be immediately knowledgeable. You have to know the company and know the menu. Someone comes into the restaurant, they expect to be talking to someone that knows what they are talking about. And if you don't know the menu, or someone says, what does this come with, or what is in this, and you go, I don't know, that immediately is a very bad experience. The person's going to think that this is not a good brand and it's going to damage the company's reputation. You should be creating a welcoming environment in the restaurant. People should enjoy being at the restaurant. They should feel safe. They should feel happy. They should feel like they can have a good time here. The next thing is that you interact with positivity, a smile, and warmth. So all of the customer interactions have to be really warm and really positive. The next thing is consistency of service. It's very important that regardless of which Nando's you go into, you should get good service everywhere. That is the company's goal. And so part of your role working in a specific location is ensuring that the good service that Nando's aims to provide is provided at this location. And so a key tenet of good customer service is consistency. It doesn't matter where you go, you get good service. The next thing is that there's a customer centric culture. So everything that is done in the company and all the decisions that I've made are with the customer at the heart of it. You think, before we change something, how is that going to affect customers? How is that going to affect customer satisfaction? And then what can we do to make customers even happier? And so all the conversations around how you can meet customers' needs. And then lastly, you say that really great customer service is where you go above and beyond customer expectations. Another top tip to be aware of is I would recommend that you have examples of times in previous jobs that you have gave great customer service, and an example of a time that you personally got really amazing service, and talk about how that was really great. If they ask for an example, you've got one ready. If they don't ask for an example, you could enhance this answer by saying, for example, in a previous role, I provided great service by doing this. And a great example of when I've seen really great service is when I was at this particular place, and I would like to bring that level of service to my work at Nando's. And that's how you can really ace the question. The next one is, why do you want to work at Nando's? And you really need to think about this. And I'd recommend that you have a bullet pointed list ready to go, because you don't want to try and make this up on the day. It's not going to be a good answer if you make it up. So have, maybe 5 or 6 bullet points of things that you can say, and have that learned, and you're going to have a super confident answer to this. So I'm going to give you lots of suggestions of what you can say and the things that you should be talking about. So the first thing is, what makes Nando stand out? Why do you want to work here and not somewhere else? Make it clear that you've specifically picked Nando's against the competition. Think about, why is Nando's right for your skill set? Think about previous jobs and your personal interests. Why is this the right job? How is it a good match for your experience? So think about all the jobs you've had in the past, what you've learned in those jobs, and show that this is the right job for you because it's a continuation of that experience. Think perhaps about progression and development. Do you have an interest in restaurant management, for example? Or perhaps if you are going into management, that you want to work for a chain because there's going to be opportunities long term to move into managing groups of restaurants, for example. And then you want to be eager and enthusiastic in your answer. You got to be really positive and really enthusiastic, because it just makes your answer that bit stronger. Let's look at some things that you might want to talk about. So you could say that you've got experience as a Nando's customer, that you've ate in the restaurant several times, and you always had a great experience, and you think their food is really great, and you're really interested in that particular type of cuisine, and you're really positive, and you can be a great brand ambassador for it. You might want to say that you really love interacting with guests. You want a job where you're constantly in contact with people because, for example, you get to meet new people every day. You like meeting new people. You're very social, outgoing. And so working with lots of guests every day is going to be really great for you. You could say that you hope to deliver an excellent service, and that Nando's is known for good service, and this is somewhere where you would fit in very well. That you want to work for a family-owned company because you perhaps worked for a family-owned company in the past, or you believe that that's going to give it a unique culture that is going to be a slightly better place to work. You could say that you've got extensive hospitality experience and talk about all the previous experience that you've got, and say that this is a very, very similar job, and you're going to be able to do the job very confidently and be very good at it because you've got such a lot of experience. You could say that I want to have an active job. I don't want to be sitting at a desk all day. I want to be up, walking around and being active, and that working in Nando's is a really busy and active job, and that suits you perfectly. Say definitely that you love working in restaurants. Make it very clear. I love working in restaurants. That's a really good and positive thing to say. And you could maybe talk about how you could build a career at Nando's and give the idea that there is opportunities that you see potentially here and you could develop a career, because they would rather hire someone that is going to stay with the company than someone who's going to work for them for a few months and then leave. So if you can set that up, it looks very positive, and they might see in you someone that they could develop and have a positive impact on the company. So definitely bullet point an answer to this, and then you'll maximize your chance of being successful. And seriously, if you plan this and you have 5 bullet points ready to go and you say it confidently, it will be so much better and you'll have a great answer. The next one is, do you have reliable transportation? They often ask this sort of thing just to check, are you going to be on time? And what you want to do is not just to say yes, which is important, but give a bit of detail and show that you care about being on time, because that's a good value to show off. So you might have your own car, you might walk or cycle, or you might use public transport. And depending on which of these you use, you can always give a strong answer. So for your own car, say that you've got your own car, it's reliable, it's well maintained, and you've got breakdown cover for it. Just going that little bit beyond that, I am well organized and I will be on time. The next thing you could say, if you walk or cycle, say that you live near the restaurant, if that's the case, and that you always leave in good time and you're consistently on time and it's highly reliable, because walking and cycling never tends to go wrong in the way that other unreliable transport might. Public transport is, of course, a answer that many people will give, and let's just make it a little bit stronger. So you say that you use public transport, but you always look at the times and you always take the earlier train or the earlier bus to ensure, if there was to be any delays, you've got lots and lots of time to ensure that you're always on time for work. And perhaps if you've got a plan B, so you say that I use public transport, however, if there was an issue with public transport, I could still walk, I could still I have people that I know that could help me get into work, and I will always be on time and I can be very reliable. What they're checking is, are you going to be on time, and are you someone that we can trust to be reliably on time? And that's how you ace this question. They often ask you to do a trial shift. So before you start the job, they might say, we'd like you to work a trial shift for an hour. So here's some tips. The first thing you must be aware of is that you're on interview every single second. So just because the manager isn't specifically watching you, every single employee is potentially interviewing you, because the manager could go around and ask anyone about you. And if they say something negative, it could harm your chances of getting the job. So you have to make sure that you work well with everyone. So that's the other point. Everyone is interviewing you. So you're on interview every second and everyone is interviewing you. That's the way that you look at it. Be proactive. If you're not necessarily doing something right now, or there's a bit of a period where there's nothing immediately around you to be doing, go and find something to do. Ask someone, can I help you with this? Or do you need any help with that? And if you see, for example, something untidy that should be cleared away and put in a place, you could just go and do that straight away. Don't stand around. Make sure that you're actively working, because that's one of the things they're checking for. If you have an opportunity to stand and do nothing for 2 minutes, are you taking that and doing nothing? Are you going to be really active and helpful or not? Because there is people that will stand and do nothing whenever they get the chance, and those people are less productive employees, and managers are aware of that. Make sure that you keep to time. If you've got a break, for example, don't be late. So if your break is 10 minutes, don't take 15. Make sure you keep strictly to timings. Focus on your job. So don't be distracted by socializing, conversations, or other distractions. Stay focused on your job, because remember, you are being interviewed, you are being watched. And so if you're wasting time, it would be noted. Listen to feedback. So there's probably going to be times in your trial shift where you don't get things right, and someone comes to you and says, you've done that wrong, or don't do that, or stop doing this. And what you've got to do is just stop, take a break, listen to what they're saying, and acknowledge it. Say, yes, sorry about that. I'll make sure that I do this the way that you've suggested. So agree with the feedback. Don't be defensive. Don't argue back. Take the feedback and then take it well. Be positive, because managers are going to be in the business of correcting people, of giving lots of feedback, of trying to get you to do things better. And if you're someone who blows up or argues back, they're going to find you someone that's difficult to work with, and they're going to hire someone else. Because remember, the manager wants to work with people who are easy to work with. So really be helpful and show that you are someone that is easy to work with and you're going to be a good employee. That's really what they're checking for. And if you do, you're maximizing your chance of being successful in your trial shift. Before we finish, here are some great questions that you could ask at the end. So you might say, in your experience, what would you say is the best thing about working here at Nando's? You might say, what training, development, and progression could be available for a high performing employee at this Nando's, potentially if you're interested in moving up in your career? Can you tell me more about the team you have built here at this Nando's location? You might want to say, I'm highly interested in joining Nando's. As a result, I'm interested to know the next steps in the recruitment process and find out when you'll find out if you got the job and what happens next. And then to end your interview, politely thank your interviewer, remind them that you're really interested in the job, that you're a firm candidate, and end on a positive. Avoid asking about moving to a different restaurant, delaying your start date, going on holiday and not starting for 3 weeks, or trying to negotiate your pay before they've given you an offer. So I hope this was helpful to you. Please post in the comments below what Nando's asked in your interview. And finally, thank you very much for watching.